ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue in Kitaab At-Tawheed 701, Wednesday, January 9th, 2019, which agrees now, oh man, let me turn this off so that this won't pop on. So it agrees on the Hijri calendar, which I think is the 29th of Rabi' al-Thani. Wow, we're in the first of Jumad al-Awwal. Wow. SubhanAllah. It still came on anyway. The month of Jumad al-Awwal. No, Jumad al-Thani. كان Rabi' al-Thani? No, Jumad al-Awwal. It's now in the Jumad al-Awwal. Wow, this is scary. Jumad al-Awwal, 1440 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam, which is January 9th, Wednesday. January 9th, Wednesday. Already 10 days has passed in this month, which is very scary to show how fast time is moving expeditiously in a very, very frightful manner. Which is, I don't know, like we said, as the times progress, we do live in some trying times. Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa. Well, inshallah, like we said, we will discuss at a later time. But no doubt, like we said, we are living in some trying times. The best suggestion I can give is for one to hold on to the rope of Allah Ta'ala. Not hold on to the rope of Allah as the people of bid'ah, or the people of innovation say generally without giving the proper understanding of the ayah. Holding on to the rope of Allah is comprehensive for all the meanings of holding on to Quran, holding on to the Sunnah, and holding on to the methodology of the Salaf, who are the Sahaba. So, also likewise, doing that and implementing that openly and secretly. Openly and secretly in one, especially in his own private time, when no one is looking at him, to also fear Allah Ta'ala. And I'll also be very steadfast in learning knowledge and busy yourself with ilm. It's simple, brothers and sisters. All one have to do, even though it's simple to say it in words, but it's complicated for certain people. I don't know why. Maybe it's just some certain tawfiq by Allah. It's easy to go to work, take care of your family. It's easy to say this upon the tongue. Go home, go to work, take care of your family, come to the masjid and pray as much as you can in it, learn knowledge, and go home and mind your business. And those who are involved with the affairs of clarifying of that which is pertaining to the position in which Allah has given the students the knowledge, then let them handle certain affairs. It's easy. Come to the masjid, learn knowledge. Also, busy yourself with handling your responsibilities in your home, praying and waking up for Fajr, trying to pray extra prayers as much as you can, fast. Children, go to school, learn your education, be educated, stay positive, come to the masjid as much as you're able, learn knowledge, busy yourself with finishing a book at the hands of a teacher if you can. Learn and go home and mind your business and get up, and if Allah allows you to breathe again the next day, then do it again. The masjid, your job, school, going home. That's the majority of it. What is there else to do except that what else is out there is going to get you into trouble? And if you can, have some recreation for yourself. Sometimes, of course, nobody's saying that you can't have recreation for yourself and that which Allah has given and allowed one to do if he wants to work out in his home or what have you, or if you want to take your children out to parks. There's nothing wrong with that. Taking them out to parks, socializing with certain brothers, good brothers, whose names is now always in fitan, nor do you see them only during times of fitan. Because that's another thing. These classes, as I talked to our brother Hamzah Somali today, I was speaking to him, he said that the majority of people, you know who they are when they're sitting in the lessons. And it's the truth. And the people who want fitan, their names are only mentioned and they only speak during times of fitna. But they can't sit in a class on a consistent basis. They can't. Their sicknesses and diseases in their heart won't allow them to. They can't sit in a class and go through a book and finish it from beginning to end. They can't. They always have name. When only time they're mentioned or they want to start running their mouths is when some drama or some fitna is taking place. Then that's when their names pop up, when they start running their mouths. And like we said, for those who do not want good, do not want to go through a book and busy ourselves with the ilm, we don't need you. If you want to be with the people fit, then go ahead. We don't need you. We don't want numbers here just for people that come here and want fitna. If you want to be with the other masajid, the Hizbi masajid, go ahead, fine, bye. Assalamu alaikum. They can have you. We don't want you around. They can have you. Enjoy life with you. Go ahead. If you want to be around, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, I see this masjid is peaceful. Masjid is peaceful. We can learn our knowledge, and we all go home and mind our business, and everybody is you feel the masjid, the tranquility of it, and the sanctity of the relaxation and the peaceful environment we have. So if you want to come to this masjid, fine, go. Go to the masjid where it's always busy, people just busying themselves with a bunch of fitan, a bunch of confusion, a bunch of nonsense, and a bunch of hatred for Ahlul Sunnah and the Salafis. You want to be in those gatherings? Go ahead. Bye-bye. Enjoy life together with those people. We don't want your kind. The Salafis, alhamdulillah, the masajid it's relaxed, tranquil. People come home, learn their ilm, and go home on their business. Because that's what life is supposed to be. People come to learn knowledge, they relax, they go home, take care of their families, wake up, go to work, handle their business as real men supposed to, and likewise with women, handle their responsibilities, and doing what they're supposed to do and going home and taking care of their families and raising their kids. This is what people do. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Other than that, all the extra stuff, we don't need it. And as you get older and older in life, you'll see that all these things is a waste of time, and it's a waste of energy. So alhamdulillah, like I said, even for me at this masjid, I feel relaxed. And alhamdulillah, down Washington, D.C., even our brothers when I was down there, I was relaxed. Because why? Because you cleared out and purified the ranks from people that don't need to be in the ranks. You purified it. Get out of here. We don't need your time. Kind. Always running your mouth and thinking that people don't know what you're doing, whispering behind curtains and thinking people don't know what's going on. We know exactly what's going on. And we know who's who. We know who's coming and really want to learn and people that just want to run their mouths when times of fitna comes. We know. Trust me. We know. We just act like we don't know. So I said, yeah, ma'ashal ikhwa, this is a ni'mah that Allah Ta'ala has allowed us to be in this masjid. And it's relaxed, it's laid back, it's calm, the community is calm. And alhamdulillah, a lot of the Salafi masajid have been purified its ranks of these type of people that's causing confusion and dissension and chaos. Alhamdulillah, like we said, go where the people want you to be at. Be there. Stay there. Bye-bye. And even when people come to me and try to start things with me, I say, Akhi, I don't have the time. You're upon what you're upon. I'm upon what I'm upon. Don't want to waste your time. Don't waste mine. Have a good day. Keep it moving. You're only coming to me because you just want to argue with me and waste my time. Because even if I was to prove you wrong, you still wouldn't accept it from me. So why waste my time? You just want to come and argue. And that's it. We're upon what we're upon. We know, we have established with Sheikh Rabi' and what Sheikh Rabi' mentioned about what's going on. To you be your way, to me be mine, yahi. Keep it moving. I'm not talking about you. Keep it moving. And that's it. It's that simple. But at any rate, for we say in regards to Kitaab At-Tawheed, so you say in this book that you see, in which is bringing clarity, with our da'wah and bringing the barakah by Allah, is by going through these books. And we stopped in a chapter in the hadith, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, or rather we didn't finish the benefits extracted from the other part. We talked about the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim. It says, قال غير واحد من السلف لما ماتوا عكفوا على قبورهم ثم صوروا تماثيلهم ثم طال عليهم الأمد فأعبدوهم. To the end of it. If you look in your books, everyone, as we said that Ibn al-Qayyim, his name was what, everyone? Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr ibn Ayyub al-Zar'i al-Dimashqi al-Ma'ruf ibn al-Jawziyya, not Ibn al-Jawzi, Ibn al-Jawziyya. Ibn al-Jawzi is someone else. So I told the brothers. Ibn al-Jawzi is someone else. Ibn al-Qayyim, as we said, his name was what, everyone? Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr ibn Ayyub Ayyub al-Zar'i al-Dimashqi. Al-Zar'i. Dimashqi means Damascus. He was from Damascus in Syria. Ibn al-Qayyim, his name is Muhammad ibn Ayyub. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr ibn Ayyub al-Zar'i al-Dimashqi. Dimashqi. Al-Zar'i. Al-Zar'i. I don't know how you want to translate. Al-Zar'i. Al-Zar'i. Zaira. Ain. Ya nisba. Zar'i. Dimashqi. From Damascus. We said that Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, that he mentioned this profound statement. He said, "Lamma matu," he said that one of the salaf that they said for the reason why people fell into polytheism, he said when they died, meaning the righteous people. So if you look in your books, it says, فَلَمَّا مَاتُوا, when they died, عَكَفُوا عَلَى قُبُورِهِمْ, that they were devoted, or they used to stay a long time in the areas where they died, meaning at their graves. They used to stay there. They used to occupy that spot for a long time. And they used to be devoted also to worship in that particular place. And look what happened. It said, then they started now making images. And also making statues. And carving and sculpting statues to the remembrance of them and the remembrance of their righteousness. He says until a long time elapsed, then what? They worshipped them. So we said, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, the whole point of this, why Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah mentioned this particular statement, was to show what, everyone? That keep in mind the whole reason why we're talking about this chapter. This chapter is talking about extremism, about ghulu. About what? Ghulu. And the worst form of ghulu is the ghulu or the extremism that led to the road of polytheism and disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what we're speaking about now. So keep in mind, this was one of the reasons of why this affair actualized, because of extremism. Like we said, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, shaitan comes to the emotions of the individual. Comes to the emotions, and he'll try to now make you fall into extremism in the affair of love. Shaitan will come to you in that aspect. Extremism in that aspect of love, and extremism in that aspect of hatred. And extremism in that aspect of love and remembrance of those who are righteous. This is what he utilized. He utilized their emotions, led them down that road until they started to now remember their righteousness of these people who died and passed. And as a result of it, like we said, they fell into something that was what? Something that is the worst form. Rather, it is the worst sin in absolute all cases, which is polytheism with Allah ta'ala. So you see, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, what is extracted from this statement, and also the ayah. As we said, number one, from the benefits that's extracted from it is the impermissibility of extremism in those who are righteous. Extremism in those who are righteous. It's just like those who died from the righteous of the people, Nuh, meaning before Nuh, until it made them fall into the affair of polytheism. When we said last class, this is more prevalent with the people who are upon the way of Sufism. This is very prevalent. It's very prevalent in those, especially in those who embark upon the methodology of Sufism or mysticism, as they, for lack of better words, Sufism or Sufiya. These people fall into this exactly, to the point where they raise their righteous above what? Above the status that Allah Ta'ala give them, if they are truly from the righteous. And some of them are not even righteous. Some of them are not even righteous, such as Ibn Arabi and Ibn Farid. And also Ahmed Badawi and other than them. They were not even people that was righteous And it was not known for any type of salah, no fadl, no zuhd, no anything. No tuqiyah or taqwa of Allah. It was not known for none of this. And despite of that, you'll find that the people worship their graves, or now they even devote towards worship them in their graves as a result of ghulu, extremism, in the affair of love and in the affair of ibadah. So you see, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, from all the texts we've been taking now, that we said that the chapter comes in that the reason for the disbelief of Adam, if you turn your page back, the whole title of the chapter is what, everyone? Keep in mind. Would it say that the chapter which comes in the reason for the disbelief of Adam and them leaving off the proper religion, what was the reason? Extremism in the righteous. Extremism in regards to the people who are righteous. We already talked about this many times. So you say, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, in this, you'll find that this is a rebuttal and a refutation against those who worship graves today. Not only that, you'll find in a lot of those countries that they build domes or anything raised that's high on top of the grave. And this, we know that Shaitan utilized this method in order to make the people gravitate towards thinking that there's something special about these people. So raising the graves and raising them high, or building a dome or some type of structure, or writing their name, or writing some type of memorial or some type of date of their death, or any of these matters, all prohibited in the religion of Islam. All of it is prohibited of what down the road it would lead to. Because the people, like we said, Shaitan utilizes to put into people's minds that this type of person that died with these type of raised structures or domes on top of it, or torches or lanterns being lit or ignited around it, Shaitan utilizes this in order to put into people's minds that there's something special about this individual, and something stands out about him, and something of a distinguishing quality and fact that he has about this individual. And what comes as a result of it, like we said, eventually and inevitably, he what? Now will bring them to the road of what? Polytheism. So you find that all these affairs were what? Prohibited. Whether it be a raised dome on top of this person's grave, or tombstone, or any type of sign that says about his name or his death, or any of these matters, are all been what? Prohibited. The only thing that's been allowed in our religion is that the grave be slightly off the ground, raised, which is the arm span of a hand span, or less if able. But the most is, they say, qabr shibr, it's like an arm span, just to let the people know that this is the grave of an individual, so they won't what? So they won't humiliate it or disgrace it or disrespect it by walking on top of it or jumping on it or those type of matters. But however, other than that, it's been prohibited to what? Have anything raised or anything lit or anything ignited of a torch or lantern or what have you, put around the grave. All these matters have been prohibited. Why? Because of what it will cause later on, down the road, in the long haul of leading the people down to the road of polytheism, where they will start to actually now, this is what happened in the past, and it's still happening today. It's still happening today. You'll find in a lot of Muslim countries they're tested with this due to this matter, which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ highly prohibited, that the torches or lanterns be lit in the graveyards, especially around a grave, which will come as a result of it of some type of satanic inspiration. The Shaitan will come and put in the mind of the individual that is something special about this person, and then he will lead them down the road of the most uglified, humiliating, disgraceful sin that the human being could commit, which is polytheism with Allah Ta'ala. Is it clear, Suhail? You with me? You with me? You awake? Stay with me. طيب. So we said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa. So number one, this hadith and this statement. So keep in mind, the hadith we're speaking about of Ibn Abbas, along with the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim. This is a clear statement and rebuttal against who? Those who worship graves. Those who worship graves in general. And like we talked about the worshiping of graves and taking the graves of the prophets and messengers of those who are righteous was a sunnah, an evil sunnah that was started by the people of the book. It was started by the Jews and the Christians. Then the Muslims inherited it, starting from the deviant sect, if they're still in the fold of Islam, who are the Shia and the Rawafid. is the Shia and the Rawafid started grave worshiping. From the Muslims who ascribe themselves to Islam, they ascribe themselves to Islam, even though a lot of them are outside its fold, especially from the Rawafid. You'll find, like we said, this was a sunnah of the Christians and the Jews of taking the graves of their prophets as places of worship. It started with the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians. Started it, and the Muslims who adopted it, and the first ones who ascribed to the religion of Islam who adopted this way was the Shia and the Rawafid. Grave worshiping, they started it. From those who say La ilaha illallah, as you'll find that Shaykh al-Islam mentioned in his book called Minhaj al-Sunnah, that he said from the worship of the graves was started by the Shia and the Rawafid. They started that sunnah, this evil sunnah. From the Muslims, of course. But we know it was initially started by the people of the book. As the Prophet ﷺ have said during his deathbed, Canaan, that he said during his time when he was about to die, that he said, لَعْنَ اللَّهِ لَعْنَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْيَهُودِ وَالنَّصَارَى اتَّخَذُوا قُبُورَ أَنْبِيَائِهِمْ الْمَسَاجِدِ. He said, you'll find that the message of Allah ﷺ that he mentioned, authentic hadith, clearly saying, he said, may the curse of Allah be upon the Jews and the Christians. They took the grave of their prophets as masajid, as places of worship. So this clearly shows that they what? They're the ones that started this way of polytheism, of taking the graves of their prophets and messengers as a place of worship. Then it was adopted by, of course we know, the Rawafid and the Shia. Then the Sufis took it from the Rawafid and the Shia. Then the Sufis took it from the Rawafid and the Shia. That's why you'll find that a lot of Sufism is, from the biggest part of their call, is grave worshiping. A lot of them. Worshiping the dead and worshiping the dead and calling on the dead and calling on people who are dead and worshiping the dead and making supplication to the dead, whether he be righteous or unrighteous in a lot of cases. Whether he so-called be a wali or not a wali, even though they call all their so-called mashayikh awliya or wali. But you'll find that a lot of their ways was taken from the Rawafid, and then the Shia adopted it from them. Oh, excuse me, the Sufis adopted it from them, from the Shia, from the Rawafid. So grave worshiping, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, is something that is disgraceful. Rather, is the greatest sin that any human being can commit. And you'll find that the majority of these people that are involved, especially in countries that are involved in grave worshiping, is as if you have a sense of blackness, of humiliation and disgrace in those type of countries. In the environment is very, very disgraceful and very humiliating. You'll find that it's like a black cloud over that type of over that type of area, especially people who are involved in grave worshiping, and especially in countries where people are heavily involved in magic. You'll find it's like a very disgraceful type of environment. For those who grave worship and those who are heavily involved in polytheism and heavily involved in magic, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala disgraces them at the most head of those who Allah disgraces. You'll find that they're at the head, especially in their lands. Those lands is as if it's like a dark cloud on top of it. It's like a feeling, a vibe of humiliation and disgrace. It's as if you find, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that they're being what? Humiliated due to the depth or the deep type of disbelief that they're involved in. And as a result of it, the humiliation, the disgrace came down upon them. So like we said, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, these type of affairs, if the Muslims are involved in it and they fall into it, like we said, you'll find that Allah ta'ala disgraces them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us. Especially the Muslims. The Muslims that are involved in these matters, and you're committing the most uglified, humiliating, and vilified sin, how do you think that Allah ta'ala really is going to bring any success in your call? And for those who have the ability to prohibit this evil, you don't say anything because you're trying to receive a check. That's even more worse. When you have the ability to speak out and you still remain quiet because you're taking into consideration that these people are going to give me a check, or they're going to give me a pay, or cut me some money. So we say, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that you'll find in this narration that the benefits that's extracted, that you'll find that even from Ahl Ilm say that's extracted from the statement is refuting those who worship graves and building upon their graves structures or high structures or domes or anything raised high. And he'll say the reason why they do this, and this is a famous statement of theirs, mahabbatan lis-salihin. I want everyone to keep this in mind. Out of love for the righteous. We're doing this out of love for the righteous. It's a famous statement of theirs. You'll find that a lot of them say that. Why are you committing polytheism with Allah? These are people who are righteous and we love them. So you'll find that Shaitan utilized extremism and love until he led them down this road of destruction. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? You'll find that they also direct all the affairs of worship that we discussed in previous classes. We discussed about, for example, istighatha. They'll direct it towards them, meaning to the dead. Also, seeking shafa'ah from them, making dua to them to grant them the shafa'ah. And all the other different types and variety of worship, they direct towards them, meaning the dead. And they'll say this is not from what? This is not from polytheism. And you'll also find that they take their dirt and they wipe themselves with it. They put their hands on it, they wipe it on their bodies, and then make supplication at the same time. All of this, like we said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, is a part of the polytheism that if you fall into it, number one, it's not only the most uglified sin, but you nullified your Islam. If you worship a grave, and direct your worship towards a grave or anyone dead, and even someone living, your Islam has been nullified. Keep that in mind. Your religion is nullified. Islam is nullified. That is from the affairs that has nullified your Islam. Ya la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, you have took it and you have ripped it apart. And the only thing that will bind it and bring it back together is what? Is tawbah and leaving off, as long as you are alive. So you'll find that we said that it's extracted from this, all these texts we've been speaking about, not to let the love of the righteous exceed the bounds. And not to now what? Transgress the bounds. But rather to keep it in a manner in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has directed us to what? To keep it moderate in. Keep it moderate and keep it in those boundaries that Allah has set and not to exceed them. As far as even in love and even in hatred, both, as I discussed last class. Not to let love exceed the bounds, nor to let hatred exceed the bounds. As we know, love led to what? Love led them down the road of what? Worshiping them. You'll see this clearly in the Christians, especially the Christians. You'll find that if you to now ask them and to look to a lot of the different conduct and behavior of the Christians, you'll find that it's all out of emotions. It's nothing that is what? Nothing based upon anything concrete or anything that is what? Substantiated by any clear evidence. You'll find that what they're doing is like out of what? Mere emotions and love. And what I feel. I feel in my heart this is right. I feel in my heart that this is correct. I feel that Jesus, no one else is going to save me except him. I feel. And they'll say it's out of love. The same thing that Ibn al-Qayyim you'll find in this book is the same thing that the people fall into of today. And also the Muslims do the same thing. I feel Abdul Qadir Jilani answered my dua. I feel that he answered my supplication. I feel that this is right what I'm doing because when I stand to worship him or I stand in prayer, I get a good feeling. I feel good. All these are emotions that Shaitan utilizes to make you what? Fall into something that is very evil. So you can now stay firmly upon that. And when the clear evidence comes that nullifies this ambiguity or nullifies what you're upon, you still won't accept it because of your emotions and your so-called love that you exceeded the bounds in. So like we said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, love can make one fall into something extreme. And also likewise hatred. Likewise. Whereas, for example, love leads down to the worship of them. And then you'll find, like we said, hatred also what? It's the same thing. Hatred now will leave off the worship of them or makes you hate those who are what? Truly righteous, which is another type of extreme, which we'll talk about. So like we said, love and hatred, one needs to know what is the boundaries of it and what not to exceed, and also not to be on the opposite side of the extreme where you start to hate those who do deserve some type of reverence and respect and love, but not letting it exceed the bounds. Islam is a religion that is moderate, in the middle. Being in the middle course and being moderate in all your affairs. And putting everyone in its proper place. And knowing what it is and who deserves what? Of reverence and respect and glorification. as I'll talk about and discuss in a couple of minutes, inshallah. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Fine. So that's been extracted. Then the next thing has been extracted, as we know, all these athar of what we've been reading upon Ibn Abbas and all the other narrations that we're going to also take in a minute, inshallah. All these athar is an indication that that extremism in regards to the righteous, extremism also is from the sunnah of the Jews and the Christians. Same thing. Extremism is from the sunnah of the Jews and the Christians. Extremism is from the sunnah of the Jews and the Christians. That's based upon the ayat which is in your books, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the people of the book. He says, oh people of the book, do not exceed the bounds in your religion. Don't be extreme in your religion. Ya ahl kitab la taghlu fi dinikum wa la taqulu ala Allahi illa al-haq. إنما المسيح عيسى بن مريم رسول الله وكلمته ألقاها إلى مريم وروح منه فآمنوا بالله ورسله ولا تقولوا ثلاثة انتهوا خير لكم إنما هو إله واحد سبحانه أن يكون له ولد له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وكفى بالله وكيلا. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this book, do not exceed the bounds of your religion. So this is an ayat clearly showing that the Jews and the Christians exceeded the bounds. Exceeded the bounds of what, everyone? In their religion, as far as love, and as far as hatred. Love in regards to the Christians, hatred in regards to the what? To the Jews. But however, extremism in the righteous, like we said, is from the Yahud, from the ways of the Jews and the Christians. The Jews did exceed the bounds in love, for the love of Uzair. As they said, you'll find that they said that he was the son of Allah. Uzair was the son of Allah, which we know is still incorrect. So they exceeded the bounds in both instances, in love and what? In hatred both. Exceeded the bounds in regards to Jesus of hating him, and they exceeded the bounds in love as far as Uzair, where they glorified him to the point where they said he was the son of Allah, or son of God. Uzair. The person would say, how is that true? Because Allah said it himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah, He said, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ عُزَيْرُ بْنُ اللَّهِ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى الْمَسِيحُ بْنُ اللَّهِ ذَلِكَ قَوْلُهُم بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ يُضَاهِئُونَ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ قَاتَلَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَنَّى يُؤْفَكُونَ اتخذوا رهبانه وأربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله إله واحدا لا إله إلا هو سبحانه عما يشركون. طيب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the Jews said that Uzair is the son of Allah, and the Christians said that Jesus is the son of Allah. That is the statement they made with their own mouths that resembles the statement of those who disbelieved from before. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that this statement is a statement of disbelief. Clearly. To lay down and set the record straight that this statement is a statement that's incorrect. And it's unacceptable, and on the day of resurrection it will be unaccepted. It will be what? Not accepted. And it is unacceptable. So you see, Ma'ash al-Ikhwa in this statement, he says, O people of the book, do not go to the extremes. And that's from what? That we extract from the benefits of this chapter, or excuse me, this narration, I'm sorry. The extremism in the righteous is from the sunnah of the Jews and the Christians. And is not from the sunnah of the Muslims. But however, those who are grave worshippers, their salaf is the Jews and the Christians. Those who are grave worshippers, their sunnah that they follow in this method is what? The Jews and the Christians. Are you writing this down? So when a person is a grave worshiper from the Muslims, then like we said, this is the sunnah of who, everyone? The Jews and the Christians. And if you would say from the Muslims, then the Shia. Also, what's extracted from these narrations is the prohibition of what? Of images and pictures. The prohibition of what? Images and pictures, as we know. As we know, and there's a whole chapter that's going to come on it, don't worry, that all this was a method to make the people fall into polytheism, which we'll discuss at a later time, inshallah. There's a whole chapter that's going to what? Be in this topic. Fine. Also, what's extracted from these narrations is the prohibition of what? Of innovation. The prohibition of innovation. Where is the innovation here in these narrations? Ibn Abbas, what was an innovative practice? A practice that was newly invented and that was introduced into the religion, meaning of the Sharia of Nuh, of Noah, before. You raising your hands? Oh, I thought he was raising his hand. Jayid. That the bringing or the sculpture or the painting of images was something that was considered a bid'ah, was an innovative practice that was utilized for building high statues or carved, sculpted images that was made by hand, that was raised and it was built, and we said as a result of it, this type of innovation progressed. And as a result of it, like we said, Allah Shaitan made the people fall into what? Polytheism as a result of it. And also we'll discuss, inshallah, how bid'ah is one of the reasons why every religion was changed. And at the head of them, the Jews and the Christians. Every religion is changed because of innovative practices. Innovation is something that, and we're not talking about the linguistic meaning. We're talking about al-ma'na al-istilahi, the meaning in Kitaab and Sunnah. There's no bid'ah except that it was a reason for the destruction and the change and alteration of the people of the book and their practices and their ways. Until you'll find that the people of the book draw close to Allah by something that Allah did not legislate. Rather, it's by something that was an innovative practice that someone made up and someone came and the people practiced it. And as a result of it, it progressed to the point it became something totally different and something totally unacceptable. And not only that, something that was totally in contrast to what any prophet and messenger taught them. And that's one of the reasons why you'll find that innovation is the most evil of affairs. There's too many to be mentioned, as I won't talk about it right now, because there's too many reasons to say why innovation is evil, because there's too many to be counted, and it's very severe. But from them, you'll find, if I have the time, some of the ayat, which we'll talk about later, some of the ayat in which you'll find of the reasons of why innovation is so condemned and why it's so evil. Because it played a major part in the alteration and the change and the purity of what the people were upon, as far as from the people of the book from the past, were Jesus, the son of Mary, and also Musa and other than them. How the religion was changed because of innovations. And you could clearly see the adulterations and the different types of atrocities they practiced due to innovation. You can see it clearly with your own eyes. The different types of holidays that has in it polytheism, and the different types of ideologies that they believe in, that's all polytheism, and it's connected with something of idolatry, whether they perceive it or not. If you look to a lot of their practices and a lot of their ways, the Christmas tree, the mistletoe, the belief of Santa Claus, Easter, birthday cakes, all these different types of rituals are satanic, polytheistic practices. If you look to the history and really educate yourself of the blowing of candles, basically, you're summoning spirits. If you look to the reason, when you blow out a birthday cake of a candle, what's the significance of it? And you check it of what is connected with, of something that's deep-rooted in paganism and idolatry. That's the origin of it, and a lot of people don't care. It's sad these days that people don't look behind of where is the origin of these affairs. Where did it come from? But they only want to pacify it by saying it's something that's nice the kids can do. It's just for fun. Right now, someone made, and I say this to everyone, you wouldn't even accept this. If someone came with a holiday celebrating how they mutilated your family, mutilated your mother, mutilated your father, mutilated your children, mutilated everyone, and everyone's celebrating it and taking time out to celebrate it, and it's all happy, it's all fun, but the significance behind it initially originated from someone killing your mother, your father, your children. You will be in a state of what? Amazement of how people can make something so disgusting, make it so what? Acceptable and seeming to the people, and something fun and amazing. This is something you wouldn't even accept with yourself if someone did this. And we know that some of these holidays are what? That's the reality. The reality of a lot of these holidays of Thanksgiving goes back to how people were massacred. There was pillage. It was slaughtering. It was oppressing. And despite of that, you see how people's minds have been manipulated and thinking it is something that is what? So happy. Everybody comes together on a specific day of what? The origins behind it is something that is something that is horrific and very tragic. What about now? If this is something that you don't accept as a human being, what about your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala? You should have even more jealousy of finding out what is the origin of these affairs and where they initiate and where they emanated from, where they emanated from, and what's the origin of it. And you'll find that, like we said, a lot of these holidays are pagan. They actually come from origins that are what? Deeply rooted in paganism and idolatry and things that's pertaining to shirk. Whether it be birthdays, or whether it be, if you want to start, Christmas you can go all day and all night with. And Easter bunnies and eggs. Look to the origin of these things. Study it. Where they come from. And you'll find that all of it is deep-rooted in paganism. Blowing out the candles is something pertaining to spirits. Of trying to so-called warding off or calling on spirits. To Santa Claus, you'll find that the origin of it, of Saint Nick, or the man who was flying on a sleigh, came from a deity that flew in the air. And how they made it into what? To Santa Claus, that the origin of it came from something of a Greek god. They used to fly in the air. And he used to know what was going on with certain people. And that's what they say about Santa Claus, that he knows what? He knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good. Which is from the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that knows what you've been good and bad, and knows what you've been doing, and knows what? What's going on with you. You'll find that the actual Greek god that they utilize as a cartoon, how they molded it into Santa Claus. To let you know that the origin of all these matters are deep-rooted in paganism. Even Halloween. You don't even have to talk about Halloween. It's self-explanatory. How that's deep-rooted in paganism. Deep-rooted in polytheism. Deep-rooted of things that's pertaining to the dead and spirits and all these other things that Islam highly condemns of how wicked and filthy they are. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? So that's the reason why we said that bid'ah, innovations, is very evil. It's evil due to the fact, like we said, it alters the religion, changes it, wipes away the purity of it, and replaces it with something adulterated and something that is what? Wicked and evil. Whereas now the people start to draw close to Allah by something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not legislate. And then not only that, it stops there, it progresses, and it gets what? Worse and worse and worse and bigger and bigger and bigger until the people accepts it with an open chest. And if you try to now prohibit that particular evil, they'll start to look at you funny. Huh? You understand, everyone? Fine. So that's from the benefits extracted from these narrations is the what? The evil of innovations and how evil it is. And it starts with something small until it evolves into something what? Big. The second affair that's been extracted from these narrations is also the dalil and the evidence for that a good intention does not justify the act. A good intention does not justify the act. A good intention does not justify an act. An act that is not legislated, of course. A good intention does not justify an act that's not legislated. Because those during the people of Nuh, wasn't their intention good? The people who made the images of the righteous, wasn't their intent good? Didn't they intend good? They wanted just to show our love and respect and our honor and our reverence for those who are what? Who are righteous. We wanted to venerate them. We want to show them they of high esteem, how much high status they have with us in our hearts. They intended something what? Good. And despite of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still what? Showed of the affair that was not accepted, even though they intended good. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Based upon these narrations, and that's a tremendous benefit that one has to look at in these narrations. How you'll find that the people here in this text thought they were doing something that was what? Innocent. Not realizing that behind it was something that was what? Tremendous. Is it clear what I'm saying? If you look in your books, if you look in your book, get your hands out your pocket, Camden or Caden. Oh, I thought she looked like you had your hand in your pocket. I apologize. That we said from these narrations that an action, or excuse me, a good intention is not what? Does not justify an action. It's not legislated. Does not justify an action that's what? Not legislated. What's an example of that? Of what people do these days? Digger beads. Good example. Good example. Anything else? Extra prayers in regards to what, though? Of course, there's no text based upon it. Let's just say a person prayed Fajr 3 rakat. I want to do something extra good. What do we say? Isn't that's something that's what? Innovated. I want to pray Fajr silent 4 rakat. This is how, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, if a person comes to you and they try to now say, ya akhi, the ulama differ. You know what I mean? We could do, yeah. You know, we could do, listen, everything is open. Just do what's good. It's good, it's worship. Just do it. Right? Every time I always ask the people, especially that, why can't I pray with my hands to the side? Why can't I pray, with my hands like this to the side, all through the whole salat to the beginning and the end? It's khilaf. First thing you would say to an individual that says this, tell me the reason why a person prays Fajr verbally, loud, and sticking to 2 rakats. And right now, you know and I know that someone came right now and prayed Fajr 4 rakats silently, what would you do? Everyone in this room will what? Know that this man has truly what? Lost his mind. Tayyib. Even the people who say it's khilaf, right? Say that to them likewise. Say like this. If I said to you now, when a person prayed 2 rakats, or made Fajr now, 4 rakats, and prayed it silently, right? And I said, the same thing you're saying to me now. Yeah, akhi, it's khilaf. It's khilaf. Akhi, it's every scholar has their own statement. Everybody has their own statement of what we say. And if I said this to you, what would be your response? How would you react? You would say the statement of what I'm saying now. There's a evidence. There's a proof for that. That's how you start cutting their tree down. Well, anybody that comes to you with this type of nonsense. Right now, if I pray Fajr before the sun came up. Or I pray Fajr on purpose when the sun came up. And I say, this is why I was comfortable for me, and this is what I do. And I pray Fajr outside of its time. Matter of fact, I got to go to work. The time hasn't come in yet. So this is easy for me. So I pray Fajr 20 minutes before it comes in. You say this to these people. That comes with this nonsense of why, you can pray with your hands to the side. It's khilaf. It's difference of opinion and all this other nonsense, right? Say, now if I said to you right now, I want to pray Fajr 20 minutes before it comes in. Or I want to pray Fajr 3 rakats. I want to pray Fajr 4 rakats. I want to pray Fajr. I want to pray also 2 rakats. And I want to pray it verbally, openly, so everyone can hear it. How would you look at me and what would you say to me? You would what? You would disparage me. You would think I lost my mind. You would condemn me. You would think that what? You've done something very what? Hideous and deplorable. You've done something awful. Right? So now, you would say to me out of my mouth what? Yeah, akhi, there's that evidence. That's the reason why we stop at the what? Evidence. So now, why do you think that applies for the prayer, but the rest of it doesn't apply to the rest of the religion now? And you talking about the prayer. So you pray with your hands to the side. And you see that what we do is what? It's praying with our hands to the what? On our chest. Because we know there's a what? There's a text where the Messenger of Allah never what? Prayed with his hands to the side. From beginning to end. Nor none of the Sahaba likewise prayed with their hands to the side. From beginning to the end. None of them did that. It's a text, it's a proof. So the same thing is of why we condemn you because of an individual now is to pray Fajr. 3 rakats or 4 rakats or let's just say 6 rakat. I want extra good, you know what I mean? I don't feel Fajr 2, I feel in me that that's not enough. 2 rakats is not enough. I want to pray 4 for Fajr. Matter of fact, I want to pray 6 for Fajr. And I want to go on and on and on and on. Everybody knows that that type of act is something that is what? Condemned in all the minds of the Muslims. Even I think even Allah and Allah knows best. From the Sufis that probably wouldn't even accept that nonsense. And they're crazy. If a person around pray Fajr 2 rakats, they want to make it 4. And you come down and you would say, Akhi, you can't do that. Why can't I do that? It's khilaf, it's ibadah. I'm trying to draw close to Allah. Because there's a text. It's a proof. It's evidence. So the same thing, reason why we stick to praying 2 rakats is the same reason why we stick to the same methodology in the rest of our aspects of worship. We don't bring things extra, nor do we bring things what? Bring anything more less. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? And you and me both know, like we said, if anyone now was to come and say that we switch to salawat, or I want to pray Fajr 20 minutes before it comes in, except you will find that no one will say this is acceptable. This is an act that's condemned. You cannot do this. And the same thing applies to the rest of the areas of the religion. Same thing, there's a text of why we do affairs and we stick to it. And you know the dangers of why we do not exceed the bounds in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated and set as an aspect of what? Of a righteous act in which we draw close to Him. So that's what we said in regards to what? Khilaf. If a person tries to come with this nonsense, then if a person is advisable, if you can advise him, this is how you would start off. Entertaining the issue like this. Why is it now that we just stick to praying Fajr and stick to praying certain salawat at certain times and in certain manners and stick it to certain raka'at, a number of raka'at, to why we stick to it and to maintain it and not to what? Bring anything extra nor bring anything what? Bring anything incomplete in the salah. Because you and I know that that's something that's not acceptable. Same thing in the regards to the rest of the areas of the religion. We stick to the text and we cling to it. We don't bring anything innovated because we know that it's something condemned. And it's not going to be acceptable with Allah Ta'ala. Because you know if I was to pray Fajr 4 rak'at, you and your mind know that that's something that Allah did not what? Legislate. So that's the reason why we do not what? We don't do it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? طيب. The other thing that's been extracted. We already talked about that. We talked about how this hadith is an indication for the virtues of Ahl Ilm. How Ahl Ilm are the ones who what? Repel shaitan. He's the one that repels him and subdues him and keeps him at bay, and to keep the people directed to what is correct. To keep the people directed to what is correct, and to keep the shaitan subdued, and to keep him what? To keep him at bay, and to keep him what? Keep his fitna far away from the people. That's due to the knowledge of Ahl Ilm. That they come with this type of knowledge to be as a fortification and a protection for the people, so shaitan does not come and corrupt them. And that's the reason why you'll find at the end of the narration, if you look in your book, it says that when the knowledge was forgotten, meaning when the death of the ulama came, as a result of it, something catastrophic took place, which is what? Which is polytheism. The last thing we want to talk about, and we'll stop, inshallah, how shaitan can decorate an act. How shaitan can decorate an act and make it seeming and make it acceptable and beautified and adorned, even though it's something that is hideous and ugly. How shaitan can beautify it. How shaitan can what? Beautify certain actions and make it seeming and make it attractive, make it adorned, make it embellished. All these matters, shaitan is able to do it and make it what? Acceptable. And shaitan, and we know in this country, they are good for that. As here in this country especially, they are masters of decorating everything wrong, making it look right. Or a lot of affairs that are wrong, they gonna know how to make it look right. And a lot of affairs. A lot of things. They can't be counted or enumerated. From a food, from worship to even to what? Even from different relationships all the way down to social affairs, how they can what? Decorate certain matters to make it so appealing and so acceptable in society where people do it every day. So you find that Allah Ta'ala said this in his book, أَفَمَنْ زُيِّنَ لَهُ سُوءُ عَمَلِهِ فَرَآهُ حَسَنًا. Allah Ta'ala says in his book, He said, for the one who's been decorated for him, the evil is his action, and he sees it to be something good. He sees it to be something good. For verily Allah guides whom He guides, and He leads astray whom He leads astray. So you'll find that Allah Ta'ala says in His book that what? That certain actions that are evil are decorated for people so they see it to be something what? So they see it to be something what, Camden? Or Caden? So they see it to be something what? There you go. They see him, he's like, whew. They see it to be something good. You'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another ayah where He says, وَكَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَّ لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ عَمَلَهُمْ. It's an ayah. Well, Allah Ta'ala says in His book, verily we decorated for every nation its actions. We decorated for every nation its actions. What Allah Ta'ala says in His book? That He decorated for every nation and sent shayateen down upon them to make their actions be adorned and acceptable. And shaitan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives power to the shayateen. He allows the shayateen to give power, or to be given power over those who disbelieve, to couple them together to the point where they see that their actions that they're doing, they are very disgusting and condemned on every type of level to be acceptable and to be something that is what? That is good. You'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that in His book for every nation that He's destroyed, and of those who have been led astray, He decorated their actions. Decorated their actions to make it seem what? Acceptable. So they gravitated towards doing it, and they did it, thinking that it was something good. So you'll find that these ayat, and this right here, is also from those dalil and proofs, right here in your book. What does it say, everyone? That the shaitan came and he decorated their what? These actions, until they were led astray by it. So later on, down the line, in the latter generations, or the generations that came later, they started worshiping the righteous. Also, we said, and this is the last thing, we'll stop here from these, and we're not talking about the Masail. We didn't get into that yet. The last thing that's been mentioned about these narrations of Ibn Abbas is the impermissibility, of course we know, of raising graves, putting domes on top of them, putting high structures on top of them, building high structures, lofty structures on top of them, or domes, or tombstones written on it, the time of their death, or how long they lived, or anything raised off the ground, or a tomb that's like a room written around, or lit around the room, lanterns and fires and torches that's lit at night. All these are prohibited. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? You'll find that the message, I'm about to stop now. The message of Allah, even when He sent Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, what? When He sent them on that mission, that every grave that's raised high, to level it off. He said that the message of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تدعوا قبر مشرفا إلا سويته. كما قال Ali ibn Abi Talib. There wasn't a grave that was raised except that I leveled it. I brought it down. That if it was a structure, they destroyed it. Out of fear that the people will inevitably start falling into what? polytheism and idolatry and paganism. Is it clear what I'm saying, Camden? Even also likewise, the painting of graves with plaster and whitewash. A lot of people don't know that. Like to put graves and build them in a statue and plaster it with whitewash or plaster or some type of decoration. تجصيص القبور بالجص. All that's also محرم شرعا. مما يؤدي بصاحبه إلى الوقوع في الشرك وعبادة القبور. So you'll find that, like we said, the prohibition of what? Plastering the graves or painting it with plaster or whitewash. All that's been what? Prohibited. With plaster and whitewash because of something that it was make it stand out. That the people will start to look and gravitate towards. And then it'll be now thinking that, like we said, there's something special about it. And then they'll eventually fall into polytheism. All these affairs are prohibited. And you'll find in a lot of Muslim countries they still do it. A lot of Muslim countries, they do it. Out of following the Jews and the Christians and out following the non-Muslims thinking that, I don't know what they think, but some of them say we have to modernize Islam or we have to come up with the times. Nobody wants to live like the times of old. And nobody wants to live in the bone ages, as some of them say. And you see the result of these statements that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is causing humiliation to a lot of places all around the earth, all around the world. This is because of what man has earned and what man has put forth of that which is in opposition to what he's revealed. The people will say, yeah, we have to modernize. Modernization is what causes chaos all around the earth. You see it. No one can deny it now. Every country is being trialed and put to test by something that is what? Chaotic and catastrophic, that's destroying their people. All because of them rejecting what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down so people can live in harmony. And people can live where they have respect for one another and respect for people's property and wealth, and things can be run and flourish as it should be. Where people will now be able to live and carry out their daily affairs, where it not be a bunch of chaos and catastrophe and mass hysteria and mayhem, where they cannot now have to go out on the streets except they always have to watch their back. And that's the type of times that we live in now these days, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us protection. So anything else? Yeah, ma'ashal ikhlas, we'll stop here. Any questions? You said, Camden? Is there a question? So what did he say? He said yes. Like, any questions? Any questions? Suhail? Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Any questions, anyone? It's done. What, you sick, Camden? Oh, he has a nosebleed. Oh, he has allergies.